I had a friend ask me if I had to start my concrete company all over again from scratch, knowing everything that I know now, what would I do differently from what I did the first time? And so in today's video, I want to tell you exactly how I would start a concrete company if I had to start all over again from scratch, knowing everything that I know now in my 5th year in business. I will gear this video to make sure that I give my advice to not only my friend that asked, but also anyone else that's curious on how to start a concrete business, so that way they can scale their company to be as big and as profitable as fast as possible. If you don't know who I am, my name is Tyler Link, and I own a $3 million a year concrete company. And I started this channel in order to help other concrete professionals grow and scale their business while hopefully learning from some of the mistakes that I've learned in the past, so that way you don't have to. All right, step number 1 is I would invest in marketing before I invested in anything else. Where most concrete contractors go wrong, including myself when I actually first started my concrete company, is that we tend to invest in equipment and tools and all of that stuff before we even invest into a marketing strategy that will keep us busy for when we have all of our equipment and tools. Look, and that's the thing, I know it seems a little counterintuitive to invest in marketing before you even have the correct tools, and you do need some tools. If I were you, I would buy the essentials, like your trowels, your floats, anything that is absolutely essential to get the jobs done, but I would hold off on making all of your big equipment purchases until you invest in marketing, you're getting sales calls, and you're actually getting some business coming in. A lot of times we forget that even though that we have the skills and the equipment in order to run a successful concrete business, if no one knows that you exist, no one's going to call you. And that's just pure matter of fact. Actually, recently, I just posted a video about how I won a $180,000 concrete job. And I'll post the link for that right up here. Basically, the gist of the story is that there was someone that posted on a Facebook group, and there were 32 other concrete contractors that had reached out trying to bid a 10,000 square foot stamped concrete job. The only reason the customer messaged me back instead of the 30 plus other contractors that were trying to message her was that because she said that when I messaged her, she looked up my website and my online reviews, and she said that because I had such a professional looking website and great reviews, that was the only reason that she reached out to me. So think about it, just in that one instance that allowed me to sell $180,000 of concrete simply just by investing in a good website and a proper online marketing strategy. And don't worry if you're starting from scratch, because if you have no reviews or anything like that, it's not like you need to have all these reviews and this amazing website. But the moral of the story is spend as much as you possibly can in form of effort and maybe even financial investment, getting things like a great website, having a great online presence, like getting your Google business page, getting your social media pages set up and starting to post consistently on there. And that will seriously pay dividends in the long run. So that's why my step 1 is market in your business before you spend too much money on equipment and don't have any more money left over in order to spend on your marketing strategy. All right, step number 2 is I would learn how to sell concrete before I learned how to do concrete. And again, I know this sounds a little backwards, right? You're thinking, well, Tyler, if I'm gonna start a concrete business, I better know how to do concrete. And that is kind of true to a point. And let me explain where I'm coming from on this. When I first got into business, I actually had, and I still have, a really big competitor in my local market, and the name of the company is A Concrete. When I thought about A Concrete, I figured that the owner must have been a really, really good concrete guy, because he built up an amazing business. I know for a fact that they do at least $10 million a year, and I'm sure it's actually a lot more than that, but I'm just trying to be conservative here for this video. When I learned that the owner was actually not a really good concrete guy, and in fact didn't know about concrete at all, it blew my mind. See, he was not only not a concrete guy, but by trade, he was actually a nurse and got into the concrete business because he thought it was a great business model. And he spent time learning how to sell concrete and learning the business model behind the concrete. And that is how he built up this amazing business. He still to this day doesn't even know how to finish concrete himself. And when I found that out, at first it actually really upset me because I just thought how ridiculous that was, what a fraud he was. But then the longer I was in business, the more I understood that it really doesn't matter how great of a concrete guy me or you really is. What really matters is that we know how to get people to call us for concrete work, that we know how to sell the concrete job and have them become a paying customer of ours, and the rest of the job can be figured out. We can do things like hire day laborers who know what they're doing, or if we're really established in business down the line, the goal is that we could pay really, really good concrete people to work for us, and we can keep them busy doing work on our behalf of our company while we spend the majority of our time marketing and selling for the business. Because in the end, what really pays the bills is paying customers. And the only way to get paying customers is by learning how to market to those people and then sell them. All right, step number 3 is I would find and hire an amazing concrete guy to work on my crew with me. All right, so now that I had phone calls coming in from people that are looking to get concrete work done, I knew how to sell those jobs and I was getting jobs on the books. The next step would be to hire an amazing concrete guy that you can keep busy 24/7. And I understand that a lot of you watching this video are probably concrete experts yourself. I mean, most people that own a concrete business spent many years, if not even decades, in the concrete industry before they went to start a business on their own. But the problem is where they make the mistake is they are the best person on their crew. And the problem with that is that if they don't have an expert who is at least equally as good or very good, is that you're never going to be able to leave the job site without things getting done to your level of standards, the way that you'd want the job to be done. And here's the thing, when you're starting and growing a concrete company, there are so many things you have to do. You have to answer the phone, you have to go do estimates, you have to do paperwork, you have to do bookkeeping if you don't have a bookkeeper. There's just so many things that you have to keep up with. And if you don't have someone that you can trust on the job site, who you know not only is going to be responsible, also is an amazing concrete worker that is going to make you proud of the finished product, then honestly, you're just going to be spinning your wheels and you're never going to grow. So as soon as you have the money for it, pay someone super well, I am telling you, because you know that the good concrete guys, the only reason why they're going to work for a brand new startup business is if they're making a lot of money. Because let's face it, it's risky. If we're a small business and we don't have that great of a name for ourselves yet, why would anyone super established come work for you? Really, the only reason is if they're making a lot of money. And so I know it's gonna suck because when you're in the very beginning, they might even be making more than you are as the owner, but just know that's only temporary and that's okay, and it's necessary in order to level up your business. All right, step number 4 is to focus on your profit over your revenue. When I first started my business, this was almost the number 1 mistake that I made, is that I focused all on how many jobs I was selling and at what price point, and didn't really focus that much about profit, because I figured if I was taking in tens of thousands or even hundreds of thousands of dollars, that there was no way I wasn't going to have money left over in the bank to pay for all the things that we're doing, not only on our jobs, but like our equipment, our insurance, gas, all of that stuff. And man, that was such a huge mistake. I know having a lot of revenue is way more sexy in the very beginning, because you go from zero, and then when you can tell people like, hey, I have a $100,000 company or a $500,000 company or a $1 million+ company, it sounds awesome. And really, it's like super cool to brag about. But in the end, if you're broke and don't have any money left over, I'm telling you, it is going to be not even close to worth it to being able to brag about how much revenue your company has if you have no money in the bank. In fact, it actually makes it way more stressful. So when you're first starting out, take it a little slower than what you would ideally do. What I would do is maybe not try to sell as many jobs, but I would try to sell a couple jobs that were super high profit. And so I'm saying right in the very beginning, I know your instinct is going to be to charge bottom dollar market for like your concrete jobs, but try to resist that. Because here's the thing, if you get say 30 or 40 phone calls and you only sell 2 to 5 jobs from that, but the jobs that you do sell are really good paying concrete jobs, that is going to serve you way better than winning over 50% of those jobs, but in the end, not really having any profit left to show for it. And not only that, but concrete work is super hard. So make sure that you're charging accordingly, because in the end, if you're going to be out there busting your back and working your butt off and taking on a risk for a customer, make sure that it's worth it for yourself financially in the long run. We don't have time to dive into it in this video, but if I were you, I would start doing some online research, or you could even subscribe to my channel, because in future videos, I'll be talking about things like job costing, how to read a proper financial statement, going over your financials for your concrete company, etc. But right now, because I don't have any of those videos, just do your own independent research and make sure that you really understand your numbers. All right, and step number 5 is to focus on efficiency. This is kind of related to what we just talked about before, which is profit over revenue. But the thing is, a lot of us are going to want to go really fast in business, and I want to give you just a quick analogy to hopefully describe this a little bit better. Just imagine your business is a big bucket, and the goal of our business is to fill that bucket up with water, water being money. You see, when we first start out in business, we have a bucket, and most likely, and actually not even most likely, almost 100% of the time, that bucket is gonna have a lot of holes in it. And what do I mean by holes? That's simply things that are falling through the cracks because we don't really know what we're doing in business at first. Whether that means like doing a job the most efficiently that we can, so that way it takes less and less time over time to do a concrete job. But there's also other things like even reaching out to leads and turning those leads into customers. And at first, because we don't know what we're doing, we're not gonna be very efficient in this. So what I would do before I was scaling my concrete company is I'd really take a step back and figure out all the things that we were doing that were losing us money. And keep in mind, a lot of this stuff is like super boring, guys. And so I think that's why a lot of people make this mistake, is once they have some money coming in, they think the next step is to automatically add a second, a third, or a fourth crew. But the problem with that is, as you add more and more crews, if you don't have a really, really solid system put in place, then that's where things can just blow up on you. So the key takeaway is develop an actual system before you scale. And what I mean by system is know your exact process from very start, say for instance, from the moment that someone calls you, all the way to how you get them to the very end and the job is completed. What are all the steps, step by step by step by step, that happens? And the nice part is once you put this down, and if I were you, I'd even write it down. Like I would write down like steps 1 through 50. And that way, when you go out to hire someone, it'll make their job so much easier because you'll actually have something you could train them on. You'll say, for instance, like if you make your first hire and they're an office admin, and for that office admin, you'll have like the first 10 things that they need to do when someone calls you. Say, step 1, we call them back. Step 2, these are the things that we say. Step 3, this is how we sell them, etc. But the problem is a lot of people, before they develop a really in-depth process, they start growing and then their business ends up just turning into like a very unorganized, chaotic mess. And then the concrete business owner a lot of times actually thinks that having a big company just really sucks, when in reality, it's just their business model that kind of sucks and their systems. And that's the thing. We have to figure out our systems, we have to be efficient, and once we figure that out, we can have an amazing concrete business, and then it will make scaling so much easier. And that's all that I have for you in today's video. If you enjoyed this, please give me a like on the video and subscribe to my channel, because I'll be coming out with so much more concrete specific content in order to not only help you start your business, but also help you grow it as you're getting things started. If you have any questions, then drop me a comment down below and I'll do my best to answer them. And that's all I got for you guys. That's it. Bye.